What's going on, folks? Welcome to another FAMU pregame preview. And as you know, I'm JPeeps, and I think you can kind of guess where I am today. I am in Tallahassee, and I will be in Bragg tonight. So we're going to talk all things FAMU and South Carolina State leading up to kickoff. For those of you that may be busy living your life, of course, rather than listening to me, more power to you. I don't blame you. Just be sure you leave a comment. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Of course, we're going to talk about everything that there is to talk about with this game. We're also going to, go over a little bit of last week. We're also going to basically talk about, what's at stake today, players to watch, score prediction, your thoughts as well. A couple interesting facts from last week that probably weren't picked up on, but have been noticed since. Also, a key player for South Carolina State to keep an eye on that's transferred in from Benedict that should not go unnoticed. And among other things, facts about both schools too coming into today. And something interesting that James Colsey mentioned in his coach's show Monday night that also was mentioned by Jay Walker. I know how we all feel about him. But something that was also mentioned by Jay Walker that I also thought of as well, and an interesting stat line from last week that I think plays a huge role in today's game. So on the other side of the intro, we're going to talk about it. Don't go anywhere. Again, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Shout out to the three of you that are watching right now on YouTube and on Twitter. So, yeah, get comfortable, get cozy. Let's go.
It's the orange and green hoe. Gotta let me cook like Olean's hoe. Pull up to the set, rockin' green like she go. Soul Train hero, do it for the people. What's up with all these lame schools hating on fam? J-Bird won't shake none of their hands. How many options really got? Cause they keep hating like. Don't hear the hate cause the band keep playing like. Can't hear the band all in our ear. Sometimes you gotta pop out and show certified champions, we the ones that up the score on them. Trolling us about that money, we just ignoring them. Knowing them, they tried to get in, but we say no to them. A-Swag, you didn't like us none. You better not let us win another one. To any team that's facing us and think we done, just know the 100 got the halftime one. Y'all love when Willie left, you thinking that it's over now. At least we got a bowl first, it's a celebration now. But he scammed us with that donation. Now we gotta show our ass like graduation. We up by 21. Rattlers #1, and y'all here rent free. Ain't you tired? Wanna be relevant, so they tryna be rivals. Can't brag like us. 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 Tell them we outside. We outside. Tell them we outside. We outside. Tell them we outside. We outside. Tell them we outside.
Wow. Actually, it's funny. I'm just not seeing something. So there's a dumpster still left in the Bragg parking lot up on the hill where everybody wants to tailgate at. Oh dear. Oh dear. People are still pissed off with her, and she's not even employed anymore. Oh, that's funny. All right. So, that being said, also if anybody's wondering where I got this shirt from, I'm gonna let you know where I got it from. I got it from the 90s. So you can't find it anywhere else. I'm sorry. But yeah, I know it's a really cool shirt. All right, so with that being said, let's go ahead and dive into it. Also, score updates, too, if you are checking in. So, at the moment, as it stands, Georgia is up 6-0 on Clemson at the half. Leading into the half here soon, Penn State's also up on West Virginia 13-3. Thursday night, of course, if you saw that thriller, North Dakota State fell to Colorado 26-31. And with that, let's go ahead and dive into it. So, last game for South Carolina State, as follows. Their last game, both these teams, their last games were against FAMU, or against Norfolk State, my bad. Norfolk State. Theirs was a 44-17 win in a game where Norfolk State was essentially defeated. A couple of quick interesting facts. Buddy Pugh retired at the end of the season. In comes Chanisberry from Benedict College. Traditionally, this team's always been disciplined. If you go back and look at a lot of the tape or a lot of the videos on YouTube, that what you can find from their previous games, you're going to see with South Carolina State and with Benedict a physical, disciplined team. And the offense at Benedict was, they were able to impose their will on opponents. Primarily the three games that I noticed that in were the Fort Valley game, the Kentucky State game, and the Albany State game, which was the SIAC championship. Their opportunistic defense, you notice that against Fort Valley. They're physical all the way around. They're gritty on both sides of the ball. They're undefeated. They were undefeated in the regular season in 2023 at Benedict. So I say all this because it's hard to gauge what you're going to see today. Much like Coach Colsey mentioned in his show Monday night, it was kind of hard to gauge what Norfolk State was going to look like because you prepped for one thing. You even mentioned they went back and looked at Alcorn film to get an idea of what their coordinators were going to try to pull off, and they pulled off something completely different. So again, it's like you have to know, or you kind of like have a leap of faith here. You're thinking maybe, okay, they're going to show one thing that they ran at Benedict, and this is what I'm doing right now. Complete leap of faith. What they ran at Benedict, what Buddy P had at South Carolina State that worked. We don't know. Nobody knows until they line up and play it. Now, what I will say is, South Carolina State last year, coming into this year, 3 offensive linemen made first-team MEAC. Eric Brown Jr., Nick Taste, Cam Johnson. All 3 guys are back, along with possibly 2 guys along this offensive line that are either back returning as starters or are brand new in the fold, and are probably just as physical with their presence. Expect South Carolina State's passing attack to test FAMU secondary. If Jamel Sanders lines up on the opposite side of Kendall Bowler, I would expect it. As well, too, expect them to test the inside run. They're going to try it. They notice as well, too, okay, Colsey and his staff made the adjustments, but let's see what we can do because maybe we can exploit something. And they realize now, oh, this team's vulnerable. They're going to try it. Hopefully, Colsey and his staff, Coach Patterson, have proven them wrong. I hope he doesn't. He got fired. I'm trying to connect the dots here. Wait, who got fired? Trying to connect the dots there. Just shoot a comment back and remind me. But as well too for South Carolina State, if you Jamel. Oh yeah. No, I got you. Yeah, honestly, dude, getting beat twice like that in the first game right out the gate. Oh, fried. Oh, Jesus. I promise you my eyes are not bad. I'm not even 30 yet. I promise you my eyes aren't bad. But, yeah, no, he did get fried. And quite honestly, if you are in that film room the next day, you got to hopefully find somebody else that can play better, hopefully. Or if you give him a chance, but he's on a short leash today. Because that was unacceptable, very unacceptable. And, a coach who was a former DB in himself and a great DB, being Coach Colsey, at your position, oh, no. They always teach you stay on top of the guy. If he's going deep, you got to stay on top of your coverage. You got to stay on top. Or even still lean on him in some cases. Lean on him and just take the penalty. This isn't like the NFL where it's at the spot of a foul. In college football, it's a 15-yard penalty. Just lean on him. I'd rather take the PI as long as he doesn't catch it. But also to South Carolina State, based off of looking at what Benedict had, Benedict ran a base 4.3, and then They would out of that shift into that 4-2-5 look, bring in an extra DB, and have them line up over the slot receiver and try that. There were occasions where I did see they only had 2 down linemen out of that 4-3 defense. So that was something to note too that you might see today. Also, the last team to beat FAMU and Bragg was the South Carolina State team under Buddy Pugh. Give or take, it was also Willie Simmons' first year. He was working with scraps of what was left of a bad Alex Wood team. No pun intended or no disrespect to the guys that were on that team in 2018. And he also hadn't really put his fingerprints on this team either. He even mentioned, too, at the end of 2018, towards the end of that season, the team had gotten worn down. And it was obvious because, you had a chance for the taking in 3 straight games to clinch a spot in the Celebration Bowl. You lose to Howard, you lose to South Carolina State at home, and then you lose the Florida Classic that year. So it was pretty evident, and things needed to change, and they did. Now, as far as players to watch goes today against South Carolina State, for South Carolina State, it's a little bit of a new look, basing off reading articles and looking at what was added. Eric Phoenix, who's a Murray State and Benedict transfer, he knows Coach Chanisberry very well. In 28 games, 4,040 yards, 32 touchdowns, 18 interceptions. He's 6'3", 205. Running back Casey Adams, who transfers in from Georgia State, 3,343 yards, 42 TDs in high school. And then also to another transfer from Benedict, DeAndre Duhart, 609 yards, 7 TDs in 2023, 542 yards, and 9 TDs in 2022, all at Benedict. Tight end Keyshawn Toney, who was first-team MEAC on offense, as well as this is someone that you need to know where he lines up at today, because he was number 10 at Benedict. He's number 0 now at South Carolina State. Caden High, very explosive player, made plays all over the field in every game that you go back and you watch for Benedict, and now he's transferred into South Carolina State. He's one of those. He's a Chanisberry guy, and he's explosive. He can run every route there is to run. Heck of a player, tough, gritty, speedster. Don't let this guy get in open space. I would definitely know where he is. They're going to move him around. You can't just say, oh, well, we got Kendall Bowler for that guy. No, it doesn't work like that. Teams are, in this modern era of the spread offense, teams are a little bit more used to that. They're going to move him around. They're going to put him in the slot. Probably going to motion him out of the backfield. Probably going to line him up outside. They're probably more than likely, if Jamel Sanders is out there, they're going to put him on Jamel Sanders' side. And right out the gate, if I'm being honest, when I break the huddle, depending on how much I trust Jamel Sanders, I'm either having, as soon as they break the huddle, have Kendall Bowler follow him, or, if they go into the hurry up and switch sides, hey, Jamel Sanders, you better be on your P's and Q's, otherwise we're getting your ass out the game. So I would know where Caden High is. As well, to number 6, Justin Smith-Brown, who was also first-team MEAC offense. You had linebacker Aaron Smith, who was first-team MEAC defense. And then defensive back Jamari Benjamin, first-team MEAC defense. And number 22, Dominic Howard, who's a Tennessee Tech transfer as well, coming in for South Carolina State. So for FAMU, it's as follows. You were exploited for 200-plus on the ground. You improved in the second half. That was the silver line to take away. You had a chance to put that game away. As I mentioned Wednesday night with Ace, that score should have honestly ended 31-14, if I'm being completely honest. You get beat deep twice. One leads to a field goal, one leads to a score. You give up a fumble by Kelvin Dean. That can't happen anymore. That leads to another touchdown late in the game. Thankfully, Eric Horn is in. I think with James Ash and Eric Horn are in the right place at the right time. And you break that up and you win by 1 point. But if you don't give them those 3 opportunities, quite honestly, you win the game 31-14. There's no debating it. What they got at the end, you gave them. And hopefully today you learn from that mistake. As well, too, there's poor tackling as well in that first half. That can't happen. I'm confident that it will change, hopefully, because the biggest improvement is made from game 1 to game 2. The offense caught speed after the first two series. Lackluster run game. Even Daniel Richardson mentioned it too. This offense needs to start faster. I agree with him. It's an offense that I still do believe has the capability to score 40. I strongly believe it still. I'm not going away from that yet. When conference play starts, and if we start to notice a trend here, then maybe I'll get away from it. But as for now, I'm sticking true to my guns with it. As well, too, Daniel Richardson established himself as quarterback 1 in this offense. Look, and I was talking to somebody who's a close family friend of mine after the game and even before, more so after. And this said person was telling me, whoever said that this quarterback competition was close lied. Now, who knows? Maybe Junior Muratovich has grown a lot. I don't know. Who knows? We'll see. Or maybe Daniel Richardson was just that far ahead. I'm leaning towards the fact that I think Daniel Richardson was just that far ahead. Now, I know Henry Burris mentioned, a lot of it was very close. Who knows? Maybe that's just eye candy to appease to a lot of fans and stuff, because he mentioned that Monday night. Part of me feels like that's just eye candy and him being just a really nice guy and talking up his players. The other part of me thinks, you know what, hey, maybe he's right. 25% of me thinks maybe he was right. But the other 75%, I'm leaning towards the fact that I think he's just being nice. An offensive fumble late resulted in a TD. I already mentioned that. 403 yards of total offense from FAMU's offensive attack. That's what you like to see. That tells you right there the offense is doing its job. Yeah, see, we don't need that. We don't need that. I'm honestly, after what I saw, Daniel Richardson's definitely QB1. He's strong in the pocket. He knows how to scramble when it's not there. He knows how to climb the pocket. And he knows when to throw the ball away. And as well, too, he knows when to take a shot. I was questioning it a little bit in the first 2 series, but after he settled in, I liked what I saw. I was very impressed with what I saw. And that's what you ask for out of a quarterback. Now, going from that point now, he needs to grow as a passer. Now, the one difference between the FCS and the FBS, as they mentioned leading up to the North Dakota State game, and I did not know this, is in the FCS, the quarterbacks don't have the radio in their helmet to talk with the coordinators or the head coach. In the FBS, that's the case. Now, very, very much so. Very much. Those little short crossing routes, comeback routes, that's his bread and butter. Now, as I was stating, though, yeah, it's the communication in the helmet. That's right. Now, when FAMU goes to play Miami next week, FAMU can pay and have that installed into the quarterback's helmets. Will they do that? I'm not sure. Yes. And that's something else I'm going to share, too. I'm glad Will said this. He does look like a quarterback that played a lot of games. Funny enough, from a source that I will not name, he has more high-level reps than Musa had. He does. I know Ace points to the one game specifically where Dan Richardson shredded USF last year for 4 or 5 TDs and like 400+ yards. But honestly, he does have more live high-end reps in game experience than Musa had coming in this time back in 2022. The one thing with him is, can he go down? Honestly, I think he can. You saw him take a shot to Jalen Rogers, like in I think the first or second series. I think he can. I think you just have to find the right scheme to scheme guys open. And, give or take, it wasn't triple coverage, but I think if you can get hey, even Jamar Gassett got downfield. But yeah, you saw the potential. He's got a gun on him. And he can throw an accurate ball. Because I saw where Gassett ran right underneath that perfectly. So I think he does. Speaking of Gassett, he established himself as wide receiver number 1 in this offense. And with that being said, also too, the offensive line needs to be mindful, because remember the second touchdown to Gassett, not to go past the line of scrimmage, because that was one thing when you go back and look at it, I see an offensive lineman standing at the 3-yard line. When the pocket breaks and Richardson begins to scramble looking for wideouts, maybe, I know it's hard to say, and I know I'm probably committing a cardinal sin here. Kind of peep your head around a little bit, see if he has his arm up like this, getting ready to still try to throw. Okay, maybe we need to still stay in pass protection, stay behind the line of scrimmage. If he pulls that thing down and he takes off, all right, then it's time to get your ass downfield and start bulldozing people. I know that's tough, and I know that's something that you have to work on, but again, I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt. It was only game 1, so we'll see what happens. Also, when we saw FAMU begin to settle in, it seemed they were about to pull away, but penalties, gave Norfolk State second chances. Something like that can't happen today. Also, what I noticed watching the Me X Fact Challenge 2, when the pocket collapsed and FAMU attacked on defense, they did get to the QB. And this is where I say, and even though it didn't show in the stat sheet, James Ash had a good game. Nayron Jenkins had a good game. I would like to see Nayron Jenkins play a little more today. He, one of those guys, waited his turn, didn't complain, kept his head on straight, just went out there and played football. Dude's a football player. That's one thing I can say. Also, too, shifting and stunning led a lot to Norfolk State's run success. Jay Walker mentioned that in the broadcast, actually, when you go back and look at the game. And Colsey mentioned it, too, on Monday night in his coach's show. And then once they went back to more of the basics, you saw things get a little bit easier. And judging from it, too, if you're looking at the first half comparison to the second half, first half, Norfolk State had 191 yards. They gashed you. Second half, 15 yards. 1.7 on average per carry after you made adjustments, which is a good sign. You need to carry the second half of that game last week into the start of today and going forward. If you do that, I think you have the opportunity to really do something special tonight. Now, as far as players to watch goes, obviously QB1, Dan Richardson, 22 of 30, 3 TDs. Kelvin Dean, 11 carries, 49 yards. Aside from the fumble, because that's one thing everybody's going to point to, got to play better. Tight end Kobe Gross, 3 receptions, 45 yards. Jamari Gassett, 8 receptions, 110 yards, 2 TDs. Alan Smith, another player to watch who I think needs to bounce back today. James Ash, another player to watch. Nayron Jenkins, 6 tackles, 1.5 tackles for loss, 1 sack. Eric Horn, 6 total tackles, game-sealing stop. And Kendall Bowler, 7 total tackles. Andre Powell as well, to 8 total tackles, which is, I mentioned him because the DB should not be leading this team in tackles. It should be the interior. We can force them to 3rd and long. Oh, yeah. I would agree. I think if you can force South Carolina State into a 3rd and long situation, you have the opportunity, because they're going to go based off of what they saw last week. And I think it's up to this team and this staff to not look like the first half team that we saw last week. definitely big runs on third down. Yeah, you have to avoid that happening, and you have to do a better job of gang tackling because South Carolina State's going to test it. They're going to test it. They feel confident coming in. You've seen the little hype videos of them rolling into town, and when they had the little walkthrough over at Florida State's indoor facility, they feel confident. You have to go ahead and in that. The emotions of football last only but for so long in a game. Also, Jalen Rogers is another guy that I'm hoping to see get schemed open today as well. I mean, I'm happy to see Jamar Gassett finally get his due credit and break out, but at the same time, too, I'd like to see Jalen Rogers kind of break out. We saw Quan Lee make a play here and there. And I think you saw Daniel Richardson try to give everybody a chance. It's just a matter of who was the most consistent, and that was Jamar Gassett. You need Ace Cobb, the FAU transfer, who transferred in with Daniel Richardson, to be a little more consistent. He had a deep bomb that would have put FAMU right there on the goal line, if not a touchdown, and he dropped it. You have to make that play. Heck, if you make that play, yeah, hell, it's still 31-14, honestly, if in a perfect world. As well, too, Quan Lee, Jalen Rogers, Jamar Gassett, all four of those guys. They, again, spread the ball around. When you get the ball, make the most of the opportunity. The couch coach in me would prefer Alan Smith as a second unit situational pass rusher. Yeah, in a sense, kind of. In a sense, kind of. It's just, I think, I'll say that I think he needs to step it up today. He has to step it up today. I saw a lot of, he bit on the eye candy, and I think he needs to be better today. The guys the good thing about that is like when one's having a bad game, the others around him step up and they make plays when it matters most. But we all need Alan Smith to kind of be that enforcer today and establish his dominance, especially on third down, whether it's third and short, third and long, third and mid. He needs to step up and establish himself. Because if he doesn't do it today, you need to do it against Miami and against Troy, especially to get put good film out there for NFL draft scouts. So, a couple questions here. How does this defense get back on track? Personally, one way to do it, and the main way to do it, or two ways to do it: gang tackle, play the pass better. Preferably the deep ball better, but definitely gang tackling. Get 11 hats to the ball. So it may sound basic, but pursuit drill is probably one of the best things you could have done this week in practice. Why is it critical for this offensive line to show that they can get downhill in the run game? I'm going to reiterate it like I reiterated it last week. If you can impose your will along the line of scrimmage right out the gate, you have a chance to kind of take South Carolina State out of the game early. Because I don't think this is a second half team that you're going against today. I don't see South Carolina State as being that team. Really, I don't think many of the MEAC teams are a second half team, to be honest. Now, I could be wrong, and if I am, I'll eat my words. But for now, I don't see it. And also, too, it's pretty hot and humid out here, just sitting here. It's pretty hot and humid. So we're going to see what kind of conditioning, much like we saw with Norfolk State, who was puking and cramping all over the field last week, what kind of shape is South Carolina State in for their first game playing in a hot and humid environment like this? We're going to see just how good a shape they're in, especially in the second half. What other wide receivers need to elevate their game? I already mentioned that. How does the secondary improve after a bad showing? Honestly, be on your P's and Q's. If the ball's in the air, it's got to be yours. Or maybe even if you absolutely must put Jamel Sanders out there, I think you need to roll a safety on top and help him out. You got to roll a safety on top. Who stood out at linebacker last week? I'm going to reiterate it again, Nayron Jenkins. And I think he's earned himself a significant amount of play time. He's right on time, right where he needs to be. Why is a fast start important for Richardson in this offense? As stated, the faster a start you get out to, the more likely you are to take them out of their game plan. That's why. How do you get special teams to come alive? Honestly, last week, one thing I did like is I liked the punt return coverage. I liked punt return a lot, and I liked what I saw from Jamari Gassett. I think that the seams are there if you can bust one. I think you can at least create a significant return and cover a lot of ground, especially if South Carolina State outkicks their coverage. Because now you see you've got a blazer in Jamari Gassett who can go. So if you can get a seal or find a weakness in their punt coverage, you can bring a couple back. Or if you can even still bring a block and try to block a punt. Why is it important to know where Caden High is at all times? Again, I stated it a little bit earlier. This kid's explosive. And this defense needs to know where number 0 lines up at all times. He can make plays. It's actually ironic. He made a play, I think, in the SWAC championship, and the play wasn't even designed to go to him, where he just seemingly, the ball seems to be going out of bounds. He tips it to one of his teammates, and the guy catches it for an extra 5-10 yards. So the kid can go. So if I'm the DBs in this Dark Cloud defense, I'm on my P's and Q's when he releases off the line, because they're going to try to feed him early. Now, for South Carolina State, how effective will their rushing attack be? Again, FAMU's made the adjustments. They're going to test the run. It's up to how well do the adjustments work today. That's what I'll say. So if the adjustments do what they're supposed to, you can stuff South Carolina State's rushing attack. They need to be more so in the business of only accumulating 15 to no yards at all and averaging 1.7 to no yards at all, like you did in the second half last week, rather than the 191 you gave up in the first half. And hopefully the Dark Cloud defense rises to the occasion, because now it's like you've been backed into a corner. People feel like they can take advantage of you. The best way to respond is punch back. If we get a 2-score lead, at least 10 points, going to be tough for South Carolina. Yeah, it will. It will. If you get up 14-0 and you put the pressure and you put the ball back in South Carolina State's court, it becomes now, how well do they respond to pressure? Because, again, this is their first game. They don't know how each other. In first game, first year head coach at the FBS level. New guys blended from Benedict and South Carolina State. Some guys from South Carolina State probably ain't been playing a whole lot. That probably felt, new coach, I can get my opportunity. Then you got these transfers coming in from a D2 school, thinking and knowing that they're going to get the nod. So it's like, hey, when adversity hits, what are they going to do? It's one thing to build a relationship, working out together, practicing together and stuff, but that's when nothing matters. It matters, but that's when the scoreboard doesn't really matter. Now it matters. So when you get down and they face a little bit of adversity, that's why I'm glad Will said this, how are they going to act? And also, too, it's on the road in a very hostile house. How do they react? When the music's blaring, you got DJ Loose Kid blaring, you got the student section going, you got the March 100 going. This new Bragg Stadium announcer, we'll see what he can do today. If he's good, I'm fine with it. If he's not, I'll probably be in line with a lot of other people banging the drum, saying, hey, bring Sterling back, let Joe Bullard do it, or go get Kenneth Jones back. So we'll see how that goes. Let's see, what else do we got here? Why will it be critical to get their offensive line going downhill out of the gate? Why? For this very reason that Will commented right there. You want to get your offensive line going and get downhill in a hurry, because if you fall behind today, ooh, I don't know. You may not climb out of the hole if you're South Carolina State. How do they get this FAMU defense off balance? If South Carolina State's going to get FAMU's defense off balance, I think you got to kind of recreate a little bit of, or modify a little bit of what Norfolk State did last week. You have to. Same way with knocking Richardson off of his mark. You got to kind of create a little bit of confusion and stuff. Now, give or take, Richardson's a strong QB. He looks like a blob, but he's a strong QB. He knows how to climb the pocket. He knows when to take off, which is one thing I love to see, is a quarterback that knows how to throw and run and protect himself. And see also too, when you slide, if you can kind of bait South Carolina State into a targeting penalty. You can bait someone into a targeting penalty and kind of get Aaron Smith to kind of bite on it and get him ejected and out the game. Hey, the leader in the middle is gone at that point. So, take advantage where you can. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and roll out my 3 keys to victory. Control the line of scrimmage on offense and defense. That goes for both. Start faster on offense, tackle better on defense. And y'all can also drop your score predictions as well at this point too. But I'm going to go ahead and drop my score prediction here. And I'm going to say FAMU gets the win here. And I'm going to go 31-21. I think if you can start fast and kind of take it away from them, you can kind of claw out to a 17-0 lead and then kind of finish them off in the second half. They play for scraps and claw back and show a little bit of promise. In the second half, they score 21, but I think ultimately you walk away winning 31-21. It gives Chanisberry something to build off of going into the next week, depending on how they perform. It gives you a little bit of added confidence at 2-0 going down to Miami Gardens next week for Miami. So that's where I'm gonna keep it. So if anybody else has any score predictions lined up, by all means, go ahead and share them. But other than that, that's all I got for y'all today. Will there be a post-game recap? I cannot make any promises. I think it depends on how soon I get back here. So we're on standby with that. There is no guarantee that there will be a post-game recap. If there's not, as always, we'll see you Wednesday night. Me and Ace will recollect this one, regardless win or lose. But yeah, that's all we got. So with that being said, definitely, have fun tonight, folks. Enjoy it. If you are in Tallahassee, I'll be in the house as well. But yeah, with that being said, stay safe, stay blessed. We will see you possibly after the game. And if we don't, we will see you